In the heart of a dense forest, shrouded in mist and mystery, there stood an isolated cabin, its weathered walls bearing witness to years of solitude and secrets. Surrounded by towering trees and echoing with the whispers of the wind, the cabin seemed to exist outside of time, a sanctuary for those seeking refuge from the chaos of the world. Among those drawn to the cabin was Grace, a young writer in search of inspiration for her next novel. With a heart full of dreams and a sense of adventure burning in her soul, she had set out into the wilderness in search of solitude and solace. As Grace approached the cabin, a sense of unease settled over her like a heavy blanket. The air was thick with the scent of pine and damp earth, and the only sound was the rustling of leaves and the distant cry of a lone wolf. But despite the eerie atmosphere, Grace pressed on, driven by a determination to unlock the secrets hidden within the cabin's walls. With cautious steps, Grace crossed the threshold of the cabin and stepped into the dimly lit interior. The air was musty with disuse, and dust motes danced in the shafts of sunlight that filtered through the cracks in the walls. As she explored the cabin's rooms, Grace couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Shadows seemed to dart at the edges of her vision, and strange whispers echoed through the empty halls, sending shivers down her spine. But Grace refused to be deterred by her fear. With each passing day, she delved deeper into the mysteries of the cabin, poring over old journals and dusty tomes in search of clues to its past. As night fell over the wilderness, Grace found herself plagued by vivid dreams and restless nights. She would wake in a cold sweat, her heart pounding in her chest, with the feeling of unseen eyes watching her from the darkness. One night, as Grace lay awake in her bed, she heard a soft knocking at the door. With trembling hands, she rose from her bed and made her way to the door, her heart pounding with fear. As she opened the door, Grace was greeted by the sight of a figure standing in the moonlight, a ghostly apparition with eyes that seemed to pierce straight through her soul. It was the spirit of a woman, her face twisted in anguish, her voice filled with sorrow. With a trembling voice, the ghost revealed the tragic history of the cabin, a tale of love and loss, betrayal and revenge. It seemed that the cabin was haunted by the spirits of those who had lived and died within its walls, their restless souls crying out for release. Filled with a newfound sense of purpose, Grace vowed to help the spirits find peace, no matter the cost. With each passing day, she delved deeper into the mysteries of the cabin, uncovering clues to its dark past and the secrets that had been hidden for so long. In a climactic showdown, Grace confronted the malevolent forces that haunted the cabin, her courage shining like a beacon in the darkness. With a final, defiant gesture, she banished the spirits back to the shadows from whence they came, freeing the cabin from their haunting grip. As dawn broke over the wilderness, Grace emerged from the cabin, her spirit weary but triumphant. Though the shadows of the past still lingered, she knew that she had faced her fears and emerged stronger for it. And as she made her way back to civilization, Grace couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the experience. For in confronting the darkness that lurked within the isolated cabin, she had discovered a strength within herself that she never knew existed, a strength that would guide her through any challenge that lay ahead. In the heart of the dense forest, where the ancient trees whispered secrets to the wind, there stood an abandoned cabin, forgotten by time and cloaked in mystery. Its weathered facade bore the scars of neglect, while its shattered windows seemed to gaze out into the wilderness with a haunted longing. Among the towering pines and winding streams, there lived a reclusive artist named Samuel. Drawn to the solitude of the forest and the untamed beauty that surrounded him, Samuel had made the abandoned cabin his home, seeking refuge from the chaos of the world beyond. With his paintbrush in hand and his imagination aflame, Samuel found inspiration in the silence of the forest and the ever-changing hues of the sky. But as the days turned to weeks and the weeks to months, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was not alone in the cabin. Strange occurrences plagued Samuel's nights, whispers in the darkness, shadows that danced at the edge of his vision, and the feeling of icy fingers brushing against his skin. But try as he might, Samuel could find no logical explanation for the phenomena that haunted his every waking moment. Determined to uncover the truth, Samuel delved into the history of the abandoned cabin, scouring old records and dusty archives for clues to its past. What he discovered sent a chill down his spine. The cabin had once been the site of a grisly murder, its walls stained with the blood of the innocent. As Samuel pieced together the fragments of the cabin's dark history, he began to sense a malevolent presence lurking within its decaying walls. A presence that seemed to feed on the fear and despair of those who dared to tread too close. But Samuel refused to be intimidated by the shadows that lurked in the corners of the cabin. With each stroke of his brush and each line on his canvas, he confronted the darkness head-on, channeling his fear and uncertainty into his art. One stormy night, as the wind howled through the trees and the rain beat against the cabin's roof, Samuel felt a presence stir in the darkness. With a sense of trepidation, he followed the sound to the attic, where he discovered a hidden room concealed behind a false wall. Inside, he found a collection of old photographs and letters, remnants of a life long forgotten. Among them was a journal belonging to the cabin's former occupant, a troubled soul tormented by visions of a malevolent entity that lurked in the shadows. With growing horror, Samuel realized that he had stumbled upon something far more sinister than he had ever imagined. The cabin was not just haunted. It was cursed, its walls tainted by the dark energies that had claimed the lives of those who had dared to call it home. But even as the darkness closed in around him, Samuel refused to abandon the cabin to its fate. With a sense of determination burning in his heart, he vowed to break the curse that had plagued the cabin for so long, no matter the cost. In a climactic showdown, Samuel faced the malevolent entity that had haunted the cabin for centuries, his courage shining like a beacon in the darkness. With a final defiant gesture, he banished the darkness back to the depths of the forest, freeing the cabin from its cursed grip. As dawn broke over the horizon, Samuel emerged from the abandoned cabin, his spirit weary but triumphant. Though the shadows of the past still lingered, he knew that he had faced his fears and emerged stronger for it. And as he made his way back to civilization, Samuel couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the experience. For in confronting the darkness that lurked within the abandoned cabin, he had discovered a strength within himself that he never knew existed, a strength that would guide him through any challenge that lay ahead.